We are going to divide this expression using two different methods that you have learned. So all eyes up here, please shut the door for me. The very first thing I do is I'm going to look at the very top and I'm going to identify what is the degree. The degree is 3. It's the highest value on a variable. So I should have something to the third, to the second, to the first, and then this would be to the 0. And it's not necessary that we write x to the 0. We know that with that will be some constant that has no x. Then I'm going to place the coefficients to each. 3, -8, 7, and -10. On the outside of this will be the denominator. Now we've already learned, if you look at the board right now, please review those 5 different steps. The very first step is going to be to select the correct quantity. So I'm going to first start, before I even do that, by going through and making in 4 nice columns. And then I'm going to underline the first item on the outside and the first item on the inside. Now you can do this next step in your mind if you're able to. All right, so off to the side, if I couldn't do this in my head, here's what I would do. I would say to myself, what times x gives me 3x cubed? And if you struggle to understand that, think to yourself, 1 times what quantity is 3? 3. I have 1x, I need to end up with 3, I need 2 more. This is the way that I select the correct quantity. So 3x squared, which column does it go into? It goes into the second column. Now I'm going to distribute. So I'm going to multiply this. I'm making this rainbow shape to the x. 3x squared times x is 3x cubed. 3x squared times 2 is a positive 6x squared. I'm on to step number 3. Glance up at the board, please. What is step number 3? Change the signs of everything where? Second row. A lot of students change this sign, but they forget to change the sign of the second term. The next step is going to be to combine. These are additive inverses, the exact same thing with different signs. Every time that first column should cancel out. I combine to get -14x squared, and I bring down, and I start the whole cycle over again. X times what is -14x squared? If you can do that in your mind accurately, great. If not, come off to the side. 1 times what is -14? -14. I need 2 x's. I only have 1, so I need 1 more. This is selecting the correct quantity. -14x. Then I go to step number 2. I'm going to distribute. -14x times x. -14x times positive 2. And I forgot, by the way, to bring down that x when I did this. Now I'm going to change the sign of everything on the second row. And I combine, again, additive inverses. They cancel out. If they're not canceling out, it means you selected the wrong quantity. So I'm going to add these to get positive 35x. I bring down my last number, and I have 1 cycle left of this. X times what is 35x? X times what is 35x? The answer is 35 plus 35. Multiply to get 35x. Multiply to get positive 70. Change the sign of everything on the second row, and then combine to get -80. Now, how do I write my answer? This is 3x squared minus 14x plus 35, and only when you have a remainder do you have to go a step further. When you have a remainder, you're going to take the remainder and write it on the numerator, and the denominator is x plus 2. The second method of doing the exact same thing, where we're going to divide, is going to be to take the denominator, which is x plus 2, take the denominator, set it equal to 0, and solve. So I'm going to subtract 2, and I get x equals -2. Whatever you get when you take the denominator and you set it equal to 0 and solve, that value is going to go on the outside. I'm making this L shape in which I have a really long bottom horizontal shape of the L. Now, I go back up top. What is the degree in the numerator? You answer. You tell me. What is the degree in the numerator? That means what's the highest value on a variable? 3. So I'm going to 3, 2, 1, and 0. And then I'm going to go back and put in the correct coefficients that are going to pair up with x cubed, bless you, x squared, x to the first, and x to the 0. Now, we're going to use, when we do this part, we're going to use DMAMA. And that's just an acronym that says drop down the very first number. So I'm dropping it down. Okay, I did that. And now everything we multiply comes back here. Multiply to get -6, combine to get -14. Multiply to get 28, combine to get 35. Multiply to get -70, combine to get -80. Okay, you ready? Turn to your elbow partner. You're taking a practice quiz right now. Does everybody see this? I want you to analyze these four numbers. Analyze these four numbers. And then after you analyze them, I want you to look, actually write these down on your board. 3, -14, 35, and -80. Write those down. And circle the -80 so it stands out to us. 3, -14, 35, and -80. In general, most students like this method. But unfortunately, we're going to learn this week that we can't always use this method. It's not always possible. So you have these down. You're only writing down these four numbers. You've circled the -80. You've circled the -80, so it's different. And now I want you to compare that to what you see right here. Raise your hand when you see the comparison. Talk to your partner. Raise your hand when you see the comparison. Hands up high. I got one person, 2 people, 3 people. As a group of 4, talk about it. Where do you see those numbers? Where do you see those numbers? 3, -14, 35. Remainder is -80. For this problem, the first thing we're going to do is we want to be able to divide this polynomials using long division. So with me, please go ahead and make this division box. You're doing this on your board, giving yourself enough space. So make sure you have plenty of space going down. You need plenty of space going down. The highest exponent on a variable is 3, so this is degree 3. So there's my 3, my 2, my 1, and no x's. Okay, everything's accounted for. Everything has a space. We have not missed out on anything. And the outside is x minus 7. You're doing this with me. Please underline the x and the 2x cubed and make your columns. Now, I'm going to act as if I know you're struggling to select the correct quantity. So I know I have an x. I need to figure out what do I multiply it by to end up with a 2x cubed. Turn, not to me, turn to your elbow partner. What should go here so that when I multiply, I get 2x cubed? So your elbow partner, go. What is that numerical value or variables? 2x squared. That's right. 2x squared is correct. So 2x squared needs to go into the second column because only x squared are in this column. Now when I distribute, I always start on the outside first and place it, and then go to the inside. So 2x squared times x is 2x cubed. 2x squared times -7 is -14x squared. Everything on the second row changes signs, becomes a negative and becomes a positive. Now we're going to add in each column. We're going to combine each column. So when I add these together, they're additive inverses. They cancel out. When I try to combine a -10 and a +14, I have to say in my mind, okay, different signs subtract, keep the sign of the larger number. Now I've done steps 1, 2, 3, 4 that you see on the board. Step 5 says if there's anything up here, we got to bring the next term down. And we start the whole process over again. I've underlined the x, now underline 4x squared. I almost gave you the answer. X times what? Do not shout it out. X times what gives you 4x squared? Turn to your partner, go. X times what is 4x squared? 4x. Let's make sure that is 4x squared. So 4x is my correct quantity. So positive 4x goes up top. Now I'm going to distribute step 2. 4x times x is 4x squared. 4x times -7 is -28x. Change the signs of everything on the second row. It was positive, make it negative. It was negative, make it positive. Okay? And now we combine. So they cancel out. We combine to get 31x, and we bring down the last number. Our very last cycle, I underline and I underline. X times what is 31x? And the answer is 31. So up here is a positive 31. Okay, I'm distributing. I always start with the outside. 31 times x is 31x. 31 times -7. I've done this 3 times today, so I know that is going to be -217. Everything on the second row has to change signs. Change and change. And now when I combine columns, I end up with different signs. Subtract, keep the sign of the larger number. On your board, I'm going to give you right now 20 seconds to write down what would be the answer. How do you correctly write down the answer here? Ready, get set, and go. Okay, ready? So we take whatever's up top. 2x squared plus 4x plus 31. I need everybody to listen. If we had a remainder of 0, we're done. I need all eyes up here. If this remainder right here was 0 for this problem, I'm done. There's nothing more I have to do. Whenever we have a remainder other than 0, this goes on top. We're going to go counterclockwise, and we pick up in the bottom is x minus 7. Can you please stop for a second? Give me a 1 through 5. There's no shame with a 1 and 2 on how you feel about this. If time is not a factor, there's no shame with a 1. Absolutely not. Okay, you ready? I'm going to put something over the top of this. Now we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to use synthetic division. So we are going to take the denominator right now. You are going to leave your board. Do not erase it. Do not erase it. Do not erase it. And go off to the side. If I set this equal to 0, you guys can tell me, what do we get? X equals what? 7. So please do me a favor and do the exact thing that I'm doing. Find someplace on your board you won't need much space. 2, negative 10, 3, negative 1. Here's the mistake that I saw students making today. When you drop down the first number, is it a 7 or 2 that you drop down? That was the first mistake I saw a lot today. It's a 2. And when you drop it down, all eyes up here. Do I put it in above this or below this? It's below this line. When I drop it down, I personally bring an arrow. I drop down the first number. And now everything I multiply goes back to that outside. 7 times 2 is 14. I combine, so I'm like 14 and negative 10. Okay, I'm going to subtract them. They're different signs. Keep sign the larger number. Okay, great. I multiply again, so it's M-A-M-A. That's the mama part. Multiply to get 28, combine to get 31. Multiply to get 217, combine to get 216. We are now going to compare this to what you already have on your board. Raise your hand when you see the comparisons between the two. If I could zoom out here. Raise your hand when you see the comparisons. So look, this number, this number, this number, this number, this number, this number, whatever is in my box is my remainder.